All right, I'm here with the shooting coach, Bobby P for three. You can find him on TikTok, on Twitter. Bobby, how you doing today? And we're here to talk about this stupid basketball.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly just like kind of banana land that we're having to have this conversation, but it's a real impact that it's having on the players in the games, and I'm just trying to get people more important than me to speak up about it, so that something actually might be done to correct and fix this by the NCAA.
So, real quick, I want to play a video that you put on TikTok that kind of highlights the issues with this. So, we'll just play this, and then I'd love to get your thoughts on it.
Gate Part 2. Before the tournament, I posted this. At least one of the host cities are going to have balls that are way too pumped up. Basketball should always have a little give to them. This picture is not fake, it's just what a basketball should look like when you dribble it. And here's the ball in the NCAA tournament. Look how hard that thing looks. These locations at the tournament had the bounciest ball, and the first thing that a pumped up ball affects is the dribbling.
Another anticipation, and Blake loses it again.
He's looking at his hands like something's wrong, but nothing is wrong with his hands. It is the ball that is too pumped up. Look at all these examples of guys trying to dribbling it, and it just simply bounces too high right through their hand. This is one of the best ball handlers in the country, and it just bounced right through his hand. This was a huge moment late in the Auburn game. They had a costly turnover because the ball was too bouncy. The super pumped up balls also lead to terrible shooting percentages and how a team has 11 points at halftime. The more air that is in the basketball, the further the basketball travels in the air, which results in all of these shots missing way long over the rim. In these games, I counted over 30 long air balls and 0 short air balls. And when they do hit the rim, listen to how hard they hit.
So the first thing is the 30 long air balls, 0 short air balls, and that Wilson advertises the extended range tech of the basketball, which is like, why are we putting technology into a basketball? One of my first things. When did you first notice that there was an issue with this?
So it's kind of been a thing that. So I played at Wofford. Okay, we went to the NCAA tournament, and one of the things that me and my best friend and teammate Fletcher Magee, who is kind of like
we're very familiar here, Kentucky.
Yep, Jack Golke, who's the Jack Golke from 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So we were obsessed with shooting, making shots, practicing, getting in the gym, and like we were obsessed with the basketballs at every location, road game we played at. We would go to the rack of balls first thing immediately when we get to these away road games. We would try to identify if one of the balls had GB written on it for game ball. We would shoot with that one, and we would obviously feel the air pressure of the ball. And the more air pressure the ball has, the further it travels, the further it goes. Like, it's just, I'm not a physics major, but people kind of were arguing about that in the comments, like, oh, well, that's not true. Well, I just, from a shooter and from Fletcher being the best shooter, one of the best shooters in college history, like, we can confidently tell you that the ball goes further when you shoot it if it has more air. I think it has to do with just like the way it springs off your fingertips, right? Mm-hmm. Kind of like if you throw like one of those yoga balls, like if it's deflated and you throw it, it doesn't go as far. But if you throw it when it's really pumped up, it'll go further. So that's one of the first things that we always do at these games. And I'll never forget, one of the worst shooting games Fletcher had in college was at Texas Tech. They were one of the few colleges that use a Under Armour basketball. And the Under Armour ball is just, it was really pumped up. And, we were just like, oh shoot, we're going to have to score all our points in the paint or something, because like, we're not gonna be able to shoot this thing. And sure enough, Chris Beard and Texas Tech beat us by 40 points. I don't know how many points we ended up with, in the 40s probably. But Fletcher had a terrible shooting game. And like, it's physics. Like, some balls are, the more cushion it has, the more rolls you're going to get around the rim. And these balls across different brands, the Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, Wilson, I mean, they're different material and they weigh slightly different amounts. They literally weigh a different amount, which is crazy. Like that's absurd that We're asking these college basketball players from game to go to the ACC tournament to the NCAA tournament in less than a week and literally play with a different object that feels different and weighs a different amount. Like, that's crazy to me. Obviously, it's about the money that, you know, these schools are being paid to use the Under Armour or whatever. But a funny story at Wofford is Adidas sent Wofford one year a rack of basketballs that were Adidas balls, had a nice Wofford logo on them, looked great. You know, they rolled the rack in first day of practice, and Fletcher went out on the court. He grabbed one of the balls, dribbled it a couple times, shoot it. He goes, "Yeah, I'm not playing with that." I never saw that rack of basketballs ever again. I don't know. I don't know where it went, what happened to those balls, but I never saw them again. Like, he wanted to play with the old Wilson ball, which you're holding if you want to hold that.
Well, so I have the Evo NXT right here. But are you talking about the ones they were using prior to this?
Yeah. So the one prior, I mean, look, you know, the balls from like, as far as brands of balls, like the Wilson ball, both the old one and the one you're holding can be great. Like, they can be great shooting balls.
Yeah.
It's just if you pump it too much, and like, you know, some of the balls, like the Under Armour and the old Nike one, used to like feel a little bigger in size.
Mm-hmm.
Now the Nike one's more like that size, which is good. But, you know, any ball can really be a good shooting ball. Like the Under Armour one, the thing about that is it felt bigger, and the grooves in between were really deep, and so that just felt a little different. Gives a shooter a different feel. But it's
something that, like, since you play college basketball, does it feel like ridiculous that we have to have different balls depending on where you play? Like, should there just be one ball that everybody uses throughout college basketball? Like, no other league does this.
I mean, as a shooting coach that wants to help players make shots, yes, like that's going to help players make shots and stay consistent from game to game when they're traveling to different sites and playing on the road. And it's you know, but on top of that, even if we did have that Wilson ball across the board, then you still might have the big issue of the ball being different amounts of inflation from site to site. There was a preseason tournament this year in Canada. It was called the Western Slam in Canada. Kennesaw State, Kent State, and UC Irvine were in it. Okay. And I just watched a lot of college basketball. I was tuned into the game. I was like, oh my gosh, this ball is insanely pumped up. If you go look at the scores of those games, it is comical. I mean, every game is like 40-50. And like one game was 40-50 and went to triple overtime. Like, you just can't, it's just harder to put the ball in the basket. And like last night in the tournament, watching the St. John's Arkansas game,
yeah.
I mean, the 4 for 41 from three. The announcer at one point was like, dang, like St. John's is 2 for 14 on layups. I'm like, this is absurd. So to answer the question of when I first noticed it, I mean, once I started playing college basketball, I've been in tune with it. And, you know, obviously with Kentucky and Fletcher, the whole 0 for 12 game, right? So,
yeah,
you know, there's a shot of Fletcher shooting, you know, in one of those 12 misses that he had where he shoots it and he like knew it was cash and he's backpedaling. He's like, he knows it's going in, and boom, it hits back of the rim. And he's like freezes for a second. He's like, what? Like, how did that not go in? And like the balls actually in that game weren't terribly overpumped. Like, he did shoot it good the game before versus Seton Hall. But it's just, yeah, I mean, it's a different inflated ball that Fletcher had been used to playing with all year. And that's, you know, if he plays a million games at Wofford, there's literally a 0% chance he goes 0 for 12. But
yeah, and it feels like
somewhere else,
you're asking these players who take thousands of shots throughout the year, and you're relying on muscle memory,
correct,
in the most important games of your season, and now you're playing with a different ball that travels further or doesn't travel as far or whatever. Like, how it seems like we're trying to do all this stuff now that is beneficial to the players. This seems like the easiest thing you could do, and it would benefit the viewers. It would benefit fans. It would make it for a better product.
correct.
Missing layups, going 4 for 41 from three, two teams combined in that Arkansas St. John's game. I know those teams aren't like a lights out 3-point shooting team, but they shot like 20 percentage points below their average, both of them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's the ball. It's the ball. And I mean, I literally tweeted a tweet that said the practice after watching the practice footage of the teams at all the locations, the Milwaukee and Cleveland look like they have the bounciest ball. The unders in Milwaukee and Cleveland went 7-1 on the first day of the tournament.
That's insane.
Like I just watched the practice footage. Like, okay, these balls are insanely pumped up. Yeah, the unders went 7-1.
So on the ball, I'll try to put this up next to the camera. There is a recommended PSI. I think it's funny that it's like that it varies. It's 6 to 8 PSI.
Correct.
We have technology now that can tell you that all of the. How is it that we're still doing like a field test and a bounce test? That doesn't make any sense.
So listen, I went to the Final Four last year to protest this, or really just get to the bottom of it, ask players and coaches and fans about the balls, and basically, like, correct, it on every basketball it says inflate 7 to 9 pounds or whatever. Like, that's a big range. I brought 2 basketballs that were inflated, one at 7, one at 9. Okay, and both of them fit the NCAA requirement, which the NCAA rulebook says nothing about PSI. It says you drop it from 6 feet and it bounces within a 5-inch range. And like, I brought 2 balls that I gave Dalton Connect, one which is a good basketball that you can kind of squeeze a little bit, the other one rock hard. Okay, both the good one bounced to the bottom of that range, but in the NCAA rulebook, and then the bad one, the one that was super rock hard, was still in range. It just bounced to the top of the range. So it's like the range is too big. Like, you're right. Yeah. We need to narrow it down to like 7.5, because when I asked the Michigan State managers, they were like, yeah, I mean, we do 7 on the dot, because anything above that the players don't like.
That is crazy to me that it's still like that's the test we're just bouncing. When you have, you can set what you want the PSI to be. I mean, you have pumps that you can just set it up to, and that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. And
sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, the other aspect of it is like the fact that the tournament balls are brand new, so the leather like starts out stiff. So my theory is when they do this test, when they do this test of bouncing the ball, which I'm assuming that at these locations the NCAA site managers are doing, because the leather is literally out of the box and the ball hasn't bounced before, it's not broken in. It's like a baseball glove that's brand new, right? The leather's stiff. So like, when they take it out of the box and do the test, it doesn't bounce high at all. Like, so essentially, in order to get up to the range, you need to put a whole bunch of air in it. So then they get it to go in the range, and then they ship the balls out to the locations, the practice sites, and then the players start using them. The leather starts to wake up, and now they're bouncing crazy. And so I think that's kind of what's actually happening in terms of just getting to the point where these games are just the balls are insanely overpumped, to where every game we see a dribble that just goes right through the player's hand.
I thought it was interesting in that video that you shared on TikTok. I know that was from last year, but you were showing like the give that a normal ball would have, and then there's no give at all. That is, I mean, do you think that this will ever get fixed? I mean, that to me, that just kind of showed like how hard these balls are bouncing up. And I know there's several times you see a dribble that bounces up past the guy's shoulders. It feels like big men have trouble handling the ball. There have been YouTubers who have like reviewed this and said that, that they noticed that the ball kind of bounces back kind of slow. Maybe it's because of how soft this outer court. But I think that's why they're pumping it up so much, right? I mean, it's just because of the way this specific ball is designed, that it does have this sort of like soft, feeling to it. So maybe it doesn't feel like, maybe it feels like it needs more air. So they're putting more in it. Do you think that this is something that can be resolved? Do you think the NCAA is not really good at being proactive, but do you see this as maybe them coming to their senses about this?
I mean, the only way I can see the change happening is if we get more and more, I bring attention to more and more players and coaches that are way more important than me speaking up about it. Because, players have mentioned it and coaches have mentioned it here and there the last couple of years. But, when you lose a game and you go to the press conference, the last thing you want to say is, oh, well, the ball was too pumped up. Like, you're just going to get crushed. Exactly. But it's actually, it's true. It did have an effect on the game. So that's why players are hesitant. Like, I talked to Armando Bacot at the Final Four last year. Like, he was like, yeah, dude, like, I saw your video. I wanted to repost it, but, I have a commercial with the NCAA that I'm in. So like I didn't want to repost it and like knock the NCAA.
Yeah.
So like that's why players are like kind of hesitant to speak up about it. So like I'm trying to bring recognition to the few players like Dalton Connect, like he's in the NBA now. So, I posted a video of him commenting that the balls were terrible in the tournament. And so hopefully that's a big enough name to maybe get some traction going.
That would help a lot getting something from Dalton. We talked to in the Kentucky locker room. I went over to Jackson Robinson because he's out for the season, and I just asked him, like, you played with this ball last year. What do you think? And he said that they're so hard. It's like if you poke your finger at it, like it could, you feel like you could break your finger. Ansley Almanor, who played at FDU when they upset Purdue, they use those balls all year. He immediately spoke up. He like overheard Jackson and I talking, and he said, "Oh yeah, they're way different. Like it's way different than the Nike Elite Championship that Kentucky uses all year." You saw Kobe Brea's video where he said, "I have to change my shot," and I wanted to throw something. Like you have to do what? You're one of the best shooters in America. You have to change your shot.
And the biggest stage, and the biggest stage of their lives, really.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Before we get out, is there anything else? And also before we go, tell people where they can find your work and follow along with this, because I felt like I started talking about this in 2022, and because this ball just stood out, just like, so I went out and bought it, and as soon as I started playing with it, I was like, man, this is different, and that's with it not being pumped up to the maximum that I noticed there was a difference. I thought I was crazy. Other people probably thought I was crazy. So I'm glad there's actually like people that I can talk to that are like, no, this is a real thing, and people who like you who have been around the game much more than I have. So anything else that you want to add, or and then tell people where to find your work?
Yeah, I mean, you can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter at Bobby P for 3. I'm a shooting coach. That's what I do. The reason I got so passionate about this is because I want to help players make shots, and this ball situation in the NCAA tournament is really, affecting players' ability to make shots. And I'm passionate about that. So I want to help the players out. I don't want the players having to go through this and having to change their shots on the biggest games they play in their lives. So I'm just trying to bring awareness to it. And, hopefully with more and more people speaking out, and I'll be posting, like the video you played was from last year, I'll be posting a version of this year soon to kind of show the proof of the ball being too pumped up in the tournament this year. And hopefully that'll get enough traction to where the NCAA is forced to address it. And I have a standing offer out to the NCAA, pay me as your full-time site manager or ball inflation guy. Like I will go to the NCAA headquarters, get the balls, how the players will like them, and before we ship them out to all these sites at the NCAA tournament, and I will, I'd be happy to do that as be your full-time ball pumper upper. But yeah, just, we got to just keep spreading word and like last year in the NCAA girls tournament, I mean, the NCAA at one of these sites had a different size 3-point line on both ends of the court. So
yeah, I remember that. That is absolutely insane.
So we're not really dealing with, there could be some overlooking some things as we have seen. So I think, if the players that, are bringing in so much money to the NCAA are telling the NCAA that, yeah, we don't like the basketballs that you are giving us to play with on these huge games in the NCAA tournament, you would think that it's in the NCAA's best interest to fix it and please the players that bring in all this money for them. So
especially when it's such an easy fix, there's so many things that they could do to improve the experience for the players. Then some of those get kind of complicated. This one seems like it should be easy, but
yeah, the only other conspiracy theory that's out there that, I don't know, but people have been saying the odds makers in Vegas make money off people betting the overs and the games going under. And, FanDuel ran a promotion last year that was called Raining Threes, bet on this team to make, this many threes. And that's, I'm sure Vegas made a lot of money on the games going under. So I'm not saying that's what's happening, but I think that's
But it has to be affecting betting lines, or it has to be affecting the over under. It has to.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
They know about it.
Yeah. So it's just I don't know. I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. I'll be going to the Final Four again this year to just to get some more people's thoughts, spread word, and see if I can get to the bottom of it and we can figure this thing out. So
you haven't heard back from the NCAA or anything. You haven't had anybody reach out.
I mean, I haven't really, I haven't. I probably should send a professional email to somebody. At some, I will do that, but
that's why people email their senators. Is this why they?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've had D1 coaches text me on the side being like, dude, you're totally right about the balls. Like keep spreading word about
it. That's crazy. And it does suck they can't because if you had enough coaches come out and say it, but I know that they feel like they can't do that. And especially Matt Painter was the first one I remember who, because he was asked about it from Purdue reporters who I think he said something like, it doesn't matter if the ball is round, anybody can shoot. And then they lost to FDU, who used the ball all year, and immediately that offseason he was on a podcast. He was like, "Yeah, we got to change the balls up. We got to have a universal ball. We got to fix this." So, well, Bobby, I appreciate you doing this, and I'm going to keep following your stuff, and hopefully at some point this will get fixed.
Yeah, no doubt. And then we'll see a lot better product in the tournament, and hopefully some of these mid-major teams will be able to shoot good and get some upsets going. So.
Yep. All right, man. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's go ahead and end that.